Adrian Vale awoke to the hum of fluorescent lights and the sterile sting of antiseptic. His eyes adjusted to the off-white ceiling, to the perfectly square tiles and unblinking brightness. He was in a hospital room, or something that looked like one, an IV in his arm, a heart monitor ticking steadily beside him. Yet something was wrong. The silence was too complete. No footsteps in the hallway, no murmurs of nurses or doctors. Just him, the machines, and the void. He called out. No one came. He pressed the call button. Nothing. Rising slowly, he moved toward the door only to find it solid, featureless, with no knob or hinges. He pounded on it, shouted until his throat burned. No sound came back. No echo. No help. Days, or what felt like days, passed in a timeless fog. The food tray never changed. The walls never dimmed. Adrian tried to break the window with a chair. Shards flew outward, then shimmered and reformed as if nothing had touched them. The mirror above the sink reflected him at times, and at others showed him lying in the bed even as he stood. The room, it seemed, was breathing, alive, watching. He began to unravel. Then, as the light faded for the first time into a false night, he heard the scrape of a chair being pulled across tile. He turned, heart hammering. Sitting in the chair opposite the bed was a man identical to him in every detail. The same tousled black hair, the same hollow cheeks, the same confusion in the eyes, but this version was calm, eerily composed. He didn't speak for a long while. Adrian tried to rush him, to scream, to grab his double by the shoulders, but his limbs wouldn't respond. Frozen in place, he could only watch as the copy tilted its head and finally whispered, "Do you remember who you are?" Adrian gasped. The lights flickered. The room trembled slightly, as if exhaling. And just as suddenly, the figure was gone. He collapsed to the floor, shaking, mind spinning. Was it a hallucination? A side effect of trauma? He remembered the accident, headlights, twisting metal, a scream, but everything else was a blur. Why couldn't he leave? Why was he alone? And who or what was that version of himself? The only answer was the question the copy had asked. Do you remember who you are? Adrian looked around the room. Pristine, silent, closed. No clock, no door, no window that would break. Just the mirror. The bed and the ever-watching light. A perfect cage not made of walls, but of perception. And as he pulled the sheets back over himself, too exhausted to fight anymore, the realization settled cold in his bones. The door wouldn't open, because it was never built. Only now did the room begin to make sense. It wasn't part of a hospital. It was part of him. Time, as far as Adrian could tell, didn't exist in the room. The light never changed, and no clocks ticked, so he made one. He tapped the wall with his finger once every second, counted. Then again, a minute, an hour, another, days maybe. At some point he lost track, unsure whether he was dreaming or simply unraveling. The door remained seamless. The bed stayed made. The food tray, uneaten, never disappeared. His own mind was the only clock left ticking. Driven to the edge, he tried the mirror. First with words, then with fists. It cracked and healed, again and again. Then with the blood from a split finger, he painted on the walls. Help me, wake up. Where am I? The words faded by morning. Only one word remained, faint and jagged beneath the bed frame. Liar. Carved into the frame dozens of times. Each night, the copy returned. It emerged as the lights dimmed, dragging the chair across tile, and sat without expression. This time, Adrian spoke first. Who are you? The copy smiled faintly. The better half. Adrian's breath caught. He demanded answers. The copy only stared, then whispered again. Do you remember who you are? But memory was no longer a linear thing. Flashes came in bursts. A red car, screeching brakes, a voice, female, terrified, shouting his name. The sound of something heavy shattering. Adrian gripped his head, trying to force it to stay. But the room fought him. The mirror, once passive, began to change. It no longer reflected reality, but something sideways. He saw versions of himself lying in the bed while he stood. He saw himself shouting at someone unseen. He saw a woman outside a door that wasn't there, her image blurred, like water smudged on glass. She raised her hand to knock, but never did. One night, the mirror showed a courtroom. Just a second, just enough. He was there, or someone who looked like him. These are dreams, he told himself. Trauma, delusions. But the copy shook his head. No, Adrian. They're memories. Adrian screamed and charged him. The chair toppled. His fists passed through the doppelganger like smoke. "Why won't you answer me?" he sobbed. The copy stepped back into shadow, smiling faintly. "Because you haven't asked the right question." Adrian collapsed into the corner. His hands trembled. Beneath the silence, a noise started to hum, low, persistent, a mechanical whir, like something hidden behind the walls beginning to stir. Then the copy said one more thing before vanishing. "The truth doesn't want to be found, but it waits." Adrian looked back at the mirror. For the first time, it didn't show him. It showed the woman, crying, mouthing something over and over. Adrian squinted. It was his name. But she wasn't looking at him. She was looking through him. And then she vanished too. The days blurred into one another, or perhaps they never began at all. Adrian had stopped counting. His finger was raw from tapping, his voice hoarse from shouting. The room's silence had begun to feel deliberate, as if it were listening, as if it were studying him. His reflection in the mirror no longer moved with him, and the woman's image no longer appeared. But her echo lingered, like perfume on a coat long forgotten. He had to break it, all of it. That night, Adrian unraveled the bedsheets, twisting them tight and knotting them around the leg of the chair. He tore the wiring from the heart monitor and stripped it to expose copper. It took hours, maybe minutes. Time had lost meaning. With trembling hands, he sparked a flame. The sheets caught, smoke climbing toward the ceiling, like a serpent. Fire spread, and still, the room made no sound. The flames licked the walls, devoured the mattress, danced up the IV pole. Adrian backed into the corner, coughing, eyes watering. Then everything blinked. In an instant, the fire was gone. No scorch marks, no smell of smoke. The bed was made, the sheets crisp. Not even the copper wiring was disturbed. Adrian dropped to his knees, defeated. "What are you?" he whispered to the room. The answer came in the scrape of the chair. The copy sat once again, but something had changed. He wore black now. His eyes were colder. The calm had turned to judgment. "You keep trying to destroy the room," the copy said. "But this room is you." Adrian shook his head. "That's not possible. This is a hospital, a psych ward, a prison, maybe, but not. You built this," the copy interrupted, "to forget." Images flashed across the mirror. Adrian in a hospital gown. Adrian being restrained. Adrian shouting at shadows. A clipboard marked with words he didn't want to read. Dissociative identity disorder. Trauma. Psychotic break. "None of that happened," Adrian muttered. The copy leaned forward. "Then why do you remember it?" Behind the mirror, another voice spoke. Quiet, different. A woman's voice. Familiar. Adrian, please, you have to come back. The mirror shuddered. A crack split it down the center. Adrian turned to the copy. What did I do? You locked yourself away because you couldn't bear it. Because remembering meant pain. Because guilt is louder than grief. Adrian's hands trembled. In the mirror, he saw flashes. A courtroom. A child's drawing torn in half. An empty car seat. The mirror's crack deepened. The copy stood and pointed at the writing on the wall, etched in blood, fading but still legible. Truth is what survives denial. Adrian stared at it, then at the room around him. It wasn't just a cage. It was a confession. And now the walls were beginning to remember. The crack in the mirror widened overnight. Adrian watched it like one might watch a wound fester, dreadfully fascinated, helpless to look away. Light bent oddly around it. Sometimes he thought he saw another room behind the glass, dim, medical, with machines he couldn't name. But when he blinked, it was gone. The silence in the room had changed too. It breathed now, hummed as if waiting. That night, the copy returned, pacing instead of sitting. Its skin was pale, cracking. Each step left a trail of shadow that didn't fade. You're weakening, it said. Adrian didn't respond. He was listening because behind the copy's voice, another had joined. A whisper, feminine, soft. Adam. Adrian flinched. What did she say? The copy froze. I heard Adam. No, you didn't, the copy snapped, suddenly fierce. Stay focused. You're Adrian. You're here. You're safe with me. But Adrian wasn't listening anymore. The voice returned. It spoke from the corner of the ceiling, from beneath the bed, from the glass in the mirror. Adam, come back, please. The copy snarled and slammed its fists against the wall. She doesn't exist. You made me to protect you. Adrian collapsed to the floor, clutching his head as more flashes returned, a child laughing. A woman cooking dinner, a red bicycle, then the crash, screams, metal twisting, then silence. Who was I? Adrian whispered. You were a man who begged to forget, the third voice said gently. The room shuddered. Walls rippled like water. The hospital bed melted into a padded cell, blood blooming beneath the tiles. The mirror shattered outward, revealing a small window into reality. He saw himself, his true self, strapped to a hospital bed. Monitors beeping slowly. A woman sat beside him, holding his hand, eyes full of grief. Adrian reached for the image, but the copy blocked him. Its face was half gone now, eyes hollow. She died because of you, it hissed. You killed them, the crash. You were driving. Adrian's breath caught. The truth slammed into him like the moment of impact all over again. Yes, he whispered. I was the driver. The third voice, his psychiatrist, spoke gently. You fractured. You became Adrian to survive what Adam couldn't. Tears streamed down his face. Then who am I now? That depends, the voice said. Do you want to heal or stay safe in your forgetting? The room groaned. The door, which had never existed, now shimmered faintly into form. The copy stumbled back, screaming. No! Stay with me. We are safe here. We never have to remember again. Adrian stood. For the first time, the room felt smaller than he did. He walked to the door, placed his hand on the handle. I'm not safe. I'm just asleep. He turned the knob. The world behind the mirror exploded in light, and the door opened. Adrian, no, Adam, stepped through the open door into blinding white. At first there was only light, endless and formless, washing away the edges of his thoughts. He expected pain, judgment, something final. Instead, he found silence. Not the silence of the room before, which suffocated. This was a softer silence, the quiet after a storm, the kind that made space to think. He stood in a long corridor with no ceiling, no floor, just an expanse of shifting memories forming and dissolving around him. A child's birthday cake, a swing creaking in the wind, the sound of tires on rain-slick asphalt, the woman's voice calling his name. Adam, slow down. The crash unfolded again, not from his view behind the wheel, but from above. Detached, inevitable. He watched himself drive too fast, saw the red light ignored, heard the impact, then the scream, then nothing. It had taken everything from him. That's when he had fractured and created Adrian. Adrian was the part of him that didn't remember, that didn't grieve, that didn't have to face the unbearable truth. But Adrian had been trapped in the room that Adam had built, a chamber without windows, without time, without forgiveness, a place where pain could not reach, but neither could healing. Now, standing in the corridor of memories, Adam turned. Behind him, the room still shimmered faintly in the distance. The mirror cracked, the chair overturned, the bed empty. A final voice called to him, the psychiatrist. "You are waking up, Adam, but healing won't be easy. You'll remember everything now. That's the cost." Adam closed his eyes. He whispered the names, his wife, his daughter, names that had been buried for so long. "I don't want to forget again," he said, "even if it hurts." The corridor dissolved. When he opened his eyes, the hospital lights were soft. The real hospital this time. Machines blinked. A woman sat beside him, the same from the mirror. His sister. Tears filled her eyes. "Adam?" He nodded slowly. Her hand found his. "You're back." He looked down at himself. Withered, thin, real. The IV in his arm hurt. The ache in his chest was sharp. But it was real. In his mind, the room with no door was gone. But he remembered it. He remembered Adrian, the guardian, the warden, the mirror. They weren't enemies. They were him. Two halves, finally speaking the same language. Weeks passed. Therapy. Tears. Silence and light. The road was long. Some memories still burned, but now they had names, faces, shapes. On the last page of his recovery journal, Adam drew a room. It had a window. It had a door. It had no lock. Beneath it, he wrote, "I am both the pain and the one who lived through it." And in the mirror, no longer cracked, he saw only himself. And this time, he remembered.